Who are the biggest challengers to the Boston Celtics this season? Some obvious, maybe a couple who aren't. We're going to talk about it all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And I'm here for you every Monday through Friday with a free, fresh podcast that drops directly to your device if you're a subscriber. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. Media Day is next week. Next week, training camp. This picture of the practice facility behind me on the YouTube page, which you should be checking out and hopping into the comment section, that will be full of players on Tuesday, officially practicing for the Boston Celtics. We're back, baby. We're here. The season is about to begin, and I will have more podcasts about the Boston Celtics than you're going to find anywhere else from an inside voice. So check it out. By the way, I am John Karalis. I used to play a long time ago. Now I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I'm on the beat. I'm at Media Day. I'm at the practices. I'm in the locker room, so make sure you're subscribed to the show. Today, we're getting into the challengers who could derail Boston's quest for a championship. And we're going to be talking about it with my guy, Tom Westerholm, Tom_NBA on Twitter. What's up, Tom?
What up? How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Basketball's almost here. NBA basketball's almost here, I should say.
Yeah.
WNBA playoffs are here. Big day for the Connecticut Sun.
Your Connecticut Sun.
My Connecticut Sun. I own the team. Hey, I mean, I've spent enough money at Mohegan Sun to have a fraction. I could be a part owner by, how much money I've left behind there.
I was going to say, if some of your bets had gone right, maybe you could have.
I could. Either way, I've either spent enough money to win enough to buy the team, or I've left behind enough money where they'd be like, okay, John, here's 1%. You've earned 1%. If I had one of those little cards, maybe that could be my reward by now. 1% of the team. Right.
Like a little punch card.
Yeah. So, but anyway, go Connecticut Sun. Excited that they took game one against the New York Liberty. It'd be nice. It'd be nice. Liberty are stacked. But anyway, no one's here to listen to a locked. We have Locked On Women's Basketball if you want to listen to the WNBA. Over here, we're talking about the Celtics and the biggest challengers to the Boston Celtics this season. Today's episode, by the way, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get if you bet $5, you get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. So go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. So let's dive into this. This is like the quietest week. This is the quietest week. Everybody who's going to be signed has been signed. Guys are back in camp. Okay, that's great. But we're not there to see anything. So we're turning our attention elsewhere. Looking at the landscape of the East, are we starting off with the most obvious? Who is the biggest obstacle along the way here for the Celtics?
Yeah, I think it's very, very clear. It's a team from Florida. It's a team that the Celtics have a lot of trouble beating, and it is the Orlando
Magic. Yeah. I knew you were going with that. By the way, hey, look, Orlando.
I think they're going to be pretty good.
I like Orlando. Yeah. I think they are going to be good.
I'm like kind of joking, but also kind of like if they sneak into the playoffs and you're the Celtics, it's like you'll probably win. Do you want to see them? No.
Do you want that if the Celtics get the top seed? Do you want 1-8 to be against Orlando? I wouldn't like that matchup.
One pass, man. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not something I'm looking forward to. So hopefully the Magic are either further up in the standings, because that is definitely not a team that I would want to see in the first round for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, but let's start at the tippity top, right? It's the Milwaukee Bucks, right? Sure. The number one team. that the Celtics have to worry about is the Milwaukee Bucks. But it's like the Milwaukee Bucks are the older version of the Celtics. Yeah, they're the oldest team in the league, but they're going to play similar styles. I think, especially defensively. I think Charles Lee's coming over from Milwaukee to steal a lot of what they do well, and I don't think that was Adrian Griffin is their head coach now. I don't think he should change much because what's been working over there is still there. If you're going to have Brook Lopez as your center, that's still going to be your best defensive lineup. But the question here, I guess, when it comes to Milwaukee is, are the Celtics uniquely built because of their ability to stretch the five to put Milwaukee in these bad spots? And is this why this Celtics Bucks series is always tight, always kind of, the Celtics have this great chance? Because I think if you can play Brook Lopez off the floor, he's so important to what they do.
Yeah.
Then that kind of evens whatever you might say is Milwaukee's advantage or has been. That evens things out for Boston in a big way.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, I'll be really curious to watch Milwaukee this season. I do feel like there's a certain, you're right. They can't really change much. They shouldn't change much. They have a great team and a great superstar and all this stuff. But at the same time, it's also kind of out of necessity, right? It's like, what can they change? They have a very similar team. They have guys they've built a system around a guy who, for all of his genuine all-timer greatness is what he is, right? Like Giannis is just going to be Giannis. And, the Celtics have historically done pretty well against him. Like, I don't think 38-year-old Al Horford is the answer to shutting down, Embiid and Giannis every single time anymore. But either way, the Celtics do a pretty good job on, guys like that, on guys where, everything is just focused on getting to the basket. I don't know. I mean, I think I would like the Celtics against the Bucks. I think they just do well against that team. Like you said, they do a good job of playing Lopez off the floor. They do a good job of punishing the Bucks for having him on the floor. And they do a nice job of limiting the, 1A with an exclamation point superstar that the Bucks have. And, and I've never liked what the Bucks can throw at Tatum. I've never liked what they can do about the wings. If I'm the Celtics, to me, honestly, I'm probably looking a little more at the Heat, looking at okay, why does this team seem to bother the Celtics so much when the Bucks, historically when the Celtics play them in the playoffs and don't have Kyrie Irving going rogue and deciding to guard Giannis, they tend to do pretty well against them. So,
Kyrie. Yeah, you know what? I'm looking at this and saying they still have Grayson Allen. They're starting Grayson Allen. Chris Middleton's 32. He can't be what he used. I know he's the Celtics killer, right? He's the guy, but if he's not what he used to be, and
he's not, yeah.
Brook Lopez is older. It's a little tougher. Giannis has more and more to do on his own, and obviously he can do a lot on his own.
Yeah.
You're relying on Jay Crowder. I think Jay Crowder is cooked. Pat Connaughton,
I like the man, but yeah.
I mean, how can you not love, I'll forever be I remember the Jay Crowder nose boop on John Wall. I mean, that's just one of the all-time great.
A classic, yeah.
It's just, yeah. But the more I look at this, it's Milwaukee is, I'm going to give Milwaukee the respect of having Giannis. I'm going to give Milwaukee the respect of Chris Middleton always kills Boston somehow.
Sure.
And I'm going to give them the respect of having been there and won a championship.
Won a title. Yeah.
And they kind of know, Drew Holiday can win you a game. He's older too, but he can win a team a game. This is definitely a team that has some, they have the ability to beat Boston. If it's a 7-game series, and if you're going to say Milwaukee beats Boston in a 7-game series, that's not outrageous.
Yeah, I'm not going to be floored by that. Yeah.
But I tell you what, I mean, I think Boston's favored in any series against anybody right now. If assuming
in the East anyway.
Yeah. In the East for sure. I have a different idea of who I don't think Milwaukee might actually be the biggest threat. And I'm not going to say Miami either. I have another choice that I'm going to talk about.
Look at that tease.
Talk about that next. First, today's show is brought to you by our good friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is here. I mean, it's been a couple of crazy weeks in the NFL. Miami is beating. You want to talk about a Miami team that's putting up a lot of points. Take the over on Miami Dolphins games. I'll tell you that. Go to FanDuel.com and just hammer the over on Miami Dolphins games. If you're a new customer, head on over to America's #1 sportsbook. You get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's all you need to do. Play $5. You get 200 no matter if you win or if you lose. So if you're thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time than now to get into the action. App is super easy to use, a wide range of betting options. You got spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. I was talking about the Connecticut Sun. They were 8.5-point underdogs. They went in there and won by, I think it was 15. So there's money to be made on all sports all across the board over there at FanDuel. You got to go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Kick off your NFL season. Get ready for basketball. NBA is almost here. So go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL. I'll just ask you if you're going to do it. Please gamble responsibly. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go on over to the Locked On NBA feed. I'm over there on Wednesdays with Jake Madison. Check us out. Rotating hosts all week. It's a great way to cover the league as a whole. And it's just a fun podcast 5 days a week there on the Locked On NBA podcast. Let's get back to our biggest challengers to the Boston Celtics. Tom, I think the biggest challengers to the Boston Celtics, it's like going back to the good old days. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers. I like the Cleveland Cavaliers adding some shooting over the summer. It was their biggest weakness. They've got length in Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. It's length that bothers the Celtics the most. It bothers Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown the most. Obviously, any kind of wing trying to drive into big, long shot blockers, it's going to be tough. Garland and Mitchell are obviously elite playmakers. They've got some depth now. I like what they bring. I like, as far as, you know, I should say, maybe I'm saying this from the Celtics perspective, I hate what they bring, but they I think are built to bother Boston more. The Bucks might win more games, but I think the Cavs are built to beat Boston a little better than Milwaukee is, despite having Giannis. I think they're just solid all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think guys like Donovan Mitchell have historically given the Celtics problems, right? Like those like very explosive guards. Even when Smart was on the team, like those like super explosive guys were always just tough. I do like that you continue. You would, if you know the Celtics ended up playing the Cavaliers and bowing out to them. I do like the idea that it's just Max Strus is just like the creature from
Oh my God,
just like.
Oh.
Like the Celtics, just like slowly.
We're sorry we cut you. We did you a favor. We guaranteed your contract and gave you guaranteed money before we waived you.
And he's just behind them saying "Taco Fall, Taco Fall."
Hey, by the way, it was Javonte Green. It was Javonte Green that won that.
We talked about this. Yeah.
Yes. It was. Now they could have just said, "Hey, Taco, thanks. We'll guarantee your contract and go." But he was on the two-way. They could have just kept Strus. I think the Taco thing was too, I don't know, too enticing because of the weirdness of it all. They just wanted to get weird with it for a season.
Yep.
But regardless, the Max Strus revenge tour against the Boston Celtics. That's one hell of a storyline. If it's Cleveland and Boston in the conference finals, they're gonna have to do like some sort of major league type seance with Jobu and the rum to get to shake this Max Strus curse.
I mean, again, let's bring up Kyrie for a second time, right? Like, clear the court of all the bad energy. You gotta You got to do it.
Just sage the whole thing.
You have to do it. Yeah, no, I like Cleveland as a pick. I think you're right that the shot blocking at the rim, that's just, something that they struggle with sometimes. I think I'll be curious to see how Tatum adjusts to some of that stuff this year, because that has historically been something that he has had trouble with, but also he's getting stronger. He's becoming more of a, take it directly at the rim kind of guy. If you want to be that kind of guy, you're going to have to make it over some big dudes sometimes. So I'll be curious to see how that goes. But I do think as far as challengers go, that's a real dark horse. Cleveland, I think Cleveland gets a little underrated just because they bowed out so early last year.
Yeah.
But that's an up and coming team. They've got a squad.
Let me tell you, Tatum, I hope somebody buy Tatum a full length mirror and just get him cardboard cutouts of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. I think he's taller than Jared Allen, minus, Jared Allen's hair.
Right.
But he's almost Evan Mobley's size. And he's got long arms. So yes, Mobley and Allen are fearsome defenders and fearsome rim protectors. But damn it, Jayson Tatum, you are just as big, just as long, and huge. Yeah, you're not skinny anymore. Yeah. You are a tank now. It's my theory has always been that Tatum has always played skinny, and he's only been huge for a few years. It's like the kid who's been a nerd in high school and just grew into GQ looks, and doesn't think you're a good looking dude. You're no, look in the mirror, man. You're huge now. Go play through these guys. Make Evan Mobley foul you. Make Jared Allen foul you. Dunk on some of these fools, man. That's what I want to see Jayson Tatum do. And I don't think, Donovan Mitchell catches bodies for sure.
Yeah.
But I think the Celtics with Tatum and Brown have guys that are more well-equipped to challenge shot blockers at the rim. A battle between Boston and Cleveland would be fun, because it's two trees against two trees, and let's see which perimeter can get the job done. It might just become a three-point shooting contest, which every game can come down to anyway. But
I was going to say, you want to do corner threes again? Should we do that?
Yeah, let's rewind that so people can get pissed off at me again. But yeah, it might just be a battle of the backcourt. In which case, if it's Derek White, Jayson Tatum, and Jaylen Brown versus Max Strus, Darius Garland, and Donovan Mitchell, with all due respect to the god Max Strus, I'm taking the Boston trio in that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say I'm just a huge Garland guy.
Oh yeah, man, he's cool.
Man, my god,
he's a cool basketball player.
He's so cool, dude.
Yeah,
it's so much fun to watch.
It's legit. He's legit. Yeah, I would put him in team all cool.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Absolutely. Starting guard on all cool.
So that's Cleveland. Okay, let's just briefly talk about Miami. Let's talk about Miami real quick, because if it's Miami without Damian Lillard, I'm done. I'm done fearing Miami. I'm done with the whole Miami Heat culture. I'm done with all of that. This is, if Miami doesn't add anybody else, I am Jimmy Butler is older. They are thinner all the way around. They lost important players. I know that they've got some young guys that they could maybe rely on. And yeah, they do have a history of somehow saying, hey, Nikola Jovic is going to be, you know what? He's going to be a starting forward and scoring 18 points a game for some reason on this team. But look, if you're depending on Tyler Hero and Josh Richardson as your starting backcourt, I just don't think that's good enough. So if it ends up being Boston and Miami, I think all fear should be thrown out the window. I say this now at the end of September. By April, I'd be like, oh God, Miami Heat, the culture, Heat culture. But no, I'm done fearing Miami. I'm done with it.
I hear you. I think I want to see the Celtics dribble the ball up the court 10 times in a row without getting stripped against the Miami Heat before I feel really good if I'm the Celtics. But also, Jaime Hawks is awesome. I feel like that's a dude who on that Miami Heat team, like what a perfect Heat player. I think he's going to be awesome in Miami. So, though that's my big case for the Heat still being dangerous is, I still think they're good. And also Jaime Hawks. So, your point is probably more valid than mine, but I stand by mine.
I mean, if he comes in again, I just don't put anything past Miami. I can't. I want to sit there and be like, I'm done fearing these guys. But yeah, Jaime Hawks, a rookie. Yeah, sure. Let's bring this rookie in here. But like, yeah.
Would that be any crazier than Gabe Vincent just morphing into Steph Curry for like 2 straight rounds? No. Like
this guy looks like the Captain Morgan mascot, and he's gonna come out here
and
he's gonna drop like 30 on the Celtics as a rookie and be like, what? Why? How does this keep happening?
Yeah, good Adam Morrison just knocked us out of the playoffs. That's exactly what you
want. Good Adam Morrison. Oh my God. Oh, poor Adam Morrison.
I'm sorry. Did you know he was the first NBA player I ever interviewed?
No, really?
Yeah.
Well, Hawks has a much better mustache than Morrison.
Yeah, he does.
Which makes him infinitely cooler. But seriously, he does look like Captain Morgan. Put the red coat on him.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Let's get into some of the middle tier stuff. We'll get to that in just a second. Just want to remind people about the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast. Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Your draft is going to be coming up soon, and no one has you covered like Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Josh Lloyd is just an absolute god when it comes to fantasy ball. If you want to win your league, you're not going to be able to do it without listening to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast. So subscribe wherever you found this podcast. All right, let's get back to this conversation here. We didn't mention Philadelphia because I just have no respect for the Philadelphia 76ers.
On your respect power rankings, who's higher, the Hawks or the Sixers at this stage?
Ooh, the Sixers, because they, as much as I don't like Joel Embiid, I acknowledge his greatness and his
I agree.
MVP season. So
certainly.
But let's figure out what they are with James Harden. I don't see the Sixers as a true challenger to Boston. I don't see why this will go any differently than any other series. And I don't see any reason even continue having this conversation about Philly.
It is hilarious to me that they just keep signing guys like or keep bringing in Charlotte guys who the Celtics cook. Like,
yeah,
what is the end game here?
Oh yeah, Kelly Oubre.
Not Kelly Oubre.
Oh man. So yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know but Nick Nurse is their coach now. Is that gonna make anything better? I have no idea. What are you gonna? He's gonna run some stupid zone with Joel Embiid at the top, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll believe it when I see it. When it comes to Philly, put a pin in it. We'll revisit it later.
Fair.
Let's go down the next tier. I'm gonna put the New York Knicks as a legitimate kind of content. They've always bothered the Celtics. The Tom Thibodeau teams are big, tough. Emmanuel Quickley. I'll never get over that game where Quickley was doing like the 3-point celebration in front of his face. He dropped 65 points, 80 points, something like that at the Garden. It was impossible to stop him. The Knicks are tough. And they were a 47-win team last season. Legit. I can see the Knicks being a second-round matchup, a 1-4 type of matchup where if the Celtics can get by Orlando in the first round, they'll face the Knicks. Look, Orlando, New York, and whatever conference finals would be a tough road, I think, for the Celtics. That would be like a bruising, tough. They would win, but man, it's like getting into a 48-minute just fight with 2x4s with these teams.
That's like, preseason, obviously we have no idea how things will look completely different in January, but that's like the nightmare road. I feel like if you're, projecting ahead, right? Like
it's one of them.
Like that's tough, man. Like the Knicks, I mean, like, I think, I think Jalen Brunson has another step that he can go up. Like Julius Randle gives the Celtics like just trouble. Like he's just so big and aggressive and just like, I don't know, just something about him is always kind of, the Celtics don't necessarily have kind of like a really good bruiser like that anymore. I mean, like you could kind of at least like throw Grant at him and just say like, I don't know, go absorb some punches, or, even like Blake, just go take some hits and, use your fouls or whatever. They don't have that. They don't have that. So I think
don't have that.
The Knicks are a tough one. It's going to be interesting, man. There's there's some matchups now in the East that the Celtics kind of just don't totally have the personnel that they had last year for it, and I think the Knicks are definitely one of them.
Yeah. Look, a Marcus Smart and Grant Williams against the Knicks, that big tough against Jalen Brunson, big tough against Julius Randle.
Yep.
That would be very, very helpful.
Yep.
Not to mention, look, a full season of Josh Hart. I like Josh Hart as a player.
Yeah.
He's a tough dude.
He's a good player.
Ante DiVincenzo off the bench.
He's a good player. Yeah.
That's a good pickup.
Yeah.
They have capable centers in Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein. Those guys are capable enough. They're not going to kill you, but they can protect the rim.
Yep.
They're clearly a middle pack team. I would put them behind my top three right now is Boston, Milwaukee, and I'd say Cleveland, Philly, depending on whatever. But New York's in that mix right there, 4 or 5. So that would be a tough one. I think that would. I wouldn't want to see the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
After that, I don't know. I don't care about the Atlanta Hawks. Do you want to spend 3 minutes just crapping all over the Atlanta Hawks? Toronto Raptors. How about the Toronto Raptors? Weirdness in Toronto. Here's the thing about Toronto. I don't know what they're going to be. They have Pascal Siakam sitting there as a potential trade chip. They've got other potential trade chips. They have a new coach, and there's rumors that they are a potential destination for Damian Lillard. Lillard filling in the Fred VanVleet role. Now, look, Toronto becomes maybe the tough out. Like, I don't know where they end up. Like, I don't think they start the season with their starting 5: Schroeder, Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, Jakob Poeltl. Okay, not bad. FIBA World Cup MVP, Dennis Schroeder.
That's right. Sir.
Sir. I mean that's a decent. I don't know what Scotty Barnes, how much better he's gonna be. I mean, he's gonna be taking that. He's due for that next leap.
Yeah,
he's obviously really good. See, I don't know how this mess impacts Siakam. They do take a bit of a drop after that, but I don't know. A couple of moves, I can talk myself into Toronto being a tough playoff series. If it becomes, instead of Orlando, Toronto having been like bad and then making a trade and getting good to a point where they're the 8th seed, 7th seed, and they, win a play-in tournament and face Boston somehow.
I just have such a hard time imagining the Raptors. Like, I know it worked out for them with Kawhi, but that was such a specific circumstance. I have such a hard time imagining them trading for Dame and actually being a part of that. And if they don't, I just feel like it just feels like a teardown. It doesn't, like, Masai's just kind of been moving in that direction for a while anyway. I have a hard time with the Raptors. I have a hard time talking myself into them. But to your point, it's not like Masai's done crazy stuff before, and it's worked out very well for him. So,
Brooklyn's rebuilding. Chicago, any interest in the Chicago Bulls? No.
I feel like, honestly, the Bulls are in one of the toughest positions league wide. Like, their roster doesn't make any sense. It's, it's like, just a lot of holes all up and down. I do not like where they're at.
Here's the team that everybody's talking about. This is everybody's. Everybody comes into this a season with the darling, right? We can argue that OKC is the darling, but I think OKC's been the darling all along. I think there's.
I think it goes up a little bit after the season shot like Shea had. I think
sure, absolutely. But
Yeah.
and what I'm saying, like people are saying, like I expect OKC to make the playoffs this year.
Right, sure.
But I think that's more natural progression. I'm gonna give it to the Indiana Pacers as the darling. It's a team where I think a lot of people are saying, hey, watch out for the Pacers. People love Tyrese Halliburton. Benedict Mathurin had a good year. We got to figure out what the Buddy Hield stuff is, right? We don't know if he's actually going to get traded or not. Who are they going to get back? Andrew Nembhard had a good season last year. He surprised a few people. There are some good names on there. Obi Toppin comes in from New York and feels like he might be a better fit with that group. Miles Turner is settled. They're not persistent Miles Turner trades. He can protect the rim. He can spread the floor. It's a team that shouldn't do much, but also is like, hey, on any given night, they can beat any team out there.
My thing with the Pacers is just if your kind of high end, low end swings kind of pendulums back and forth based on Miles Turner, that scares me a little bit. Because I do think that you know what you're going to get with Halliburton. You know what you're going to get with a lot of these guys. It's like, I think that the real floor ceiling raiser is Miles Turner. And I just don't feel awesome about that.
I should also say, I was negligent in not mentioning the god, Aaron Nesmith.
Aaron Nesmith. Yeah, that was an oversight on your part.
That was an oversight on my part. And Aaron Nesmith obviously is going to come in. If he gets to face Boston in a playoff series, he will turn into the absolute sniper he declared himself to be.
I will be concerned for his physical health if he plays the Celtics in a playoff series, because I just feel like there's going to be a photo of him completely spread eagled midair about to belly flop. It's a matter of how hurt he gets from that. That's my concern.
He might somehow find himself jumping through the backboard, just backboard shattered, and he's hunched. He's just folded over the bottom of the support there, but somehow still fine. Every time I watch Aaron Nesmith play, literally every single game I've seen him play, there's a moment where I go, because I think he's seriously injured himself, and he just pops right back up. And I've never been more afraid of someone seriously injuring himself than when Aaron Nesmith is on the floor. Yeah,
John Morant is the only other guy I've ever seen kind of get himself in a situation
he's on that.
Where it's like, oh God.
Yeah. That what did I say before? Team all cool. This is team all crap your pants.
Team all chaos.
Fear of injury. All right. Well, that's a good podcast, I think. All the challengers to the Boston Celtics.
Well, we did miss the Pistons. You didn't want to talk about the Pistons? You're not scared of the Pistons?
No, I am. I think they'll be tough. I think the Pistons, honestly, I think the Pistons will be 25 win team with 20 moral victories, 20 wow, that was a great fight against a good team. Whoa, they took the Denver Nuggets to overtime, but hey.
And then they can land the 5th pick again and
botch that.
It'll be great. It'll be awesome.
Thank you, Tom Westerholm.
Appreciate you
as always. I always appreciate all of you regular fans. I should say, speaking of neglecting to mention somebody, I did the Q&A yesterday. People were asking me the player of each decade. I got to the 2010s. And I was like, oh, I don't know who. I said Marcus Smart. And people were like, why didn't you mention Isaiah Thomas? I didn't mention Isaiah Thomas. That's my bad. I didn't mention him. But he had 2-3 seasons. And so we're talking about the player of the decade. And I mean, I suppose that decade was so bad that I could just give it to Isaiah Thomas because the rest of the decade suck. I should have mentioned him. I still don't think he played enough to be player of the decade, but also I will fully acknowledge that while, yes, I also should have mentioned him, that the rest of the decade was so bad player-wise that those 2-3 seasons of Isaiah Thomas were worth more than any other player. So I gave it to Marcus Smart. Maybe I just had an affinity. Maybe I just gave it to Marcus Smart because I felt bad because you got traded. Whatever. All right, I wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you, everybody, for listening, for watching, and all of that stuff. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. Would love it now if you everydayers, especially the people who are here Monday through Friday, taking me to work, in the car, popping me on while you're in the shower, whatever it is that you're doing, walking the dog. Thank you for making the show part of your daily routine. Would love it now if you share the podcast, spread the word, tell everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.